Holy half-century, Batman. It's PIHL Hockey Night live on 10 Band TV, presented by your Mount Washington Neighborhood Shop and Save. And tonight, the Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings begin their 50th season of varsity hockey here in Western Pennsylvania as they visit the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils in PIHL Class AAA action, a battle of 2022 playoff teams here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center in the township of Mount Lebanon, just about 20 minutes south of downtown Pittsburgh. Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm Matt Popchock, joined again by Mike Iman and Todd Kazarowski, my producer, on board one more time for the nightcap of our doubleheader, as these two teams that met at the St. Margaret's Fall Faceoff Tournament just a month ago are going to go at it one more time. And in that previous meeting, it was Mount Lebanon that prevailed 3-1 on a pair of goals by Matt Gates, their senior forward, one of which came on the power play. And Austin Martin, their senior goaltender, made 28 saves in that victory. Gates, coincidentally, has begun the regular season with a pair of goals and one on the power play. He's wearing number 17 in white for the homestanding Blue Devils. He'll be one to watch tonight. And for Mount Lebanon, you are reminded of the quote by Mark Twain, "I do not believe that history repeats, but I do believe it rhymes." On opening night, Lebo victorious over Cathedral Prep after scoring 4 unanswered goals. 3 nights later, Mount Lebanon defeated by North Allegheny after conceding 4 unanswered goals. So they are 1-1 coming in tonight. And the Blue Devils playing their second home contest of the young season. And for the Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings, who were 9-11 last season, good for the number 7 spot overall in Class AAA. They are opening their campaign tonight in Mount Lebanon, led by Class of 04 Bill Connolly, beginning his 13th season as head coach. And we talked a little bit about the Mount Lebanon offense. The big question for Central Catholic is who's going to step up offensively for the visiting Vikings. It's going to have to be offense by committee. A big story emerging in pregame as Sam Gaffney, the team's top returning scorer from last year's team, is not in the lineup tonight for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. And so perhaps for Central, the answer is going to be to try and get offense from good defense. And they've got a great defenseman back on the right side, the senior Beckham Alger, who scored 12 points, including 6 goals. 5 of his points last year came on the power play as a junior. And he combined for 3 points in the last 2 regular season meetings between these teams. Central Catholic actually swept the season series from Mount Lebanon last season before falling in the quarterfinal round of the Penguins Cup playoffs to the Pine Richland Rams. Their last time in this building, almost a year ago to the day, the Vikings were victorious by a 4-1 final score. And Gaffney had a goal and an assist in that game, and Jacob Dold made 22 saves. He made 30 saves in the follow-up matchup at the Alpha Ice Complex on January 6th of 2022, and Jacob Dold, the senior, is expected to get the nod in goal for Central Catholic tonight, wearing number 1 in dark blue and gold. Dold was a fringe top 10 netminder in AAA a year ago, 7th in save percentage, 10th in goals against. Mount Lebanon graduating the top goaltender arguably in the classification, but Austin Martin, the senior, has grabbed the torch from Tommy Schubert and seems to be running with it in a big way. So could be in for some great goaltending tonight. Either way, we're in for some hard-hitting hockey tonight. It always is the case when these two teams play each other. Always a very intense rivalry in PIHL hockey. Even though these schools are not necessarily geographically close, there is little love lost. And so we're just about ready to go here from the Mount Lebanon Ice Center. as we are greeted by GNR and greeted once again by officials Buckholz and Hendry, who are staying on for the second game after officiating the first game. Both teams wearing dark blue with gold trim. Both teams wearing those very familiar horned helmets. In one team's case, it's a Viking. In the other team's case, it's a devil, a blue devil at that. Mount Lebanon, you see, getting some last-moment instructions from their head coach, Jeremy Church, who is a relatively new kid on the block, took over on an interim basis toward the very end of the 2020-2021 season and was eventually upgraded to permanent status in the position where he has been ever since. Jeremy Church, with a very senior-laden team last year, made the Penguins Cup playoffs. His top 11 scores from last year, all gone. Lebo getting a massive facelift to its varsity club in the offseason, but already in search of their second win in their first 3 games as the Vikings look to kick off their 50th anniversary season with a road win in their 2022-2023 curtain raiser. The boys are indeed back in town. We're glad you could be with us as well as Hendry drops the puck and we're underway. The Blue Devils win the faceoff and send it right to left on your computer, TV, or mobile device. As Ethan Pivich, is hit hard behind his own net. Lebo taking it over at the red line and dumping it in deep as the net was briefly dislodged, but they allowed Dold, to put it back on its moorings as the Vikings have to reset defensively. Evan Ben Scooter, the junior, coming over the line. This puck intercepted at center ice by Sawyer Klasnick, the junior for Mount Lebanon. And the Blue Devils have to tag up and will. Chase Stasiowski prying for this puck in front of the central bench before it's sent the other way. And in stride, taking it is Joel Fabian. Fabian puts it behind the Mount Lebanon goal. And it's outletted near side for Stasiowski. Stasiowski behind his own net. And now it's played defensively by the Mount Lebanon captain. And that's Callan Wilcox, the senior, who gains the red line, dumps it in. And the Vikings misplay this puck in front of their own net, but no harm done as Nathan Cox was there to clean it up defensively. Now Cox comes in over the Lebo blue line in pursuit of his own little dump in here, and he's ridden hard into the boards as he gets up slowly, and we got a penalty coming up already, a cross-checking call. And so we got our first power play of the game, a minute 36 in with no score. Paul Zimick, the senior defenseman, appears to be headed off here. And he is indeed. Central Catholic, 7th of the 11 AAA teams in power play percentage last year at 15.1%. But the Blue Devils were able to get a clear off the faceoff. Brian Offerman, the sophomore, doing the honors there as the Vikings bring it out from behind their own goal. This pass a little too far for Sarkis as it goes off the protective netting and out of play. A minute 34 to go in the power play for Central Catholic as we are scoreless 2 minutes in. Wilcox to take the draw defensively for Lebo, but it's going to be won at the half wall by Ben Scooter. And Ben Scooter sends it around to the point for Beckham Alger. Alger resetting for Tyler Gaffney. Gaffney down low, a shot pass. They reset it to Alger. Alger cranks one, and a save made there by Austin Martin. Central Catholic continues to work on the power play here with a minute 10 to go on the man advantage. Behind the net it comes to Alex Sarkis, but it's cleared by Brady Dunn, the senior. And a tie up here, shorthanded by the Blue Devils. Take some more time off the penalty clock as Central comes through center. Here's Scalise, Dante Scalise, the senior forward, slamming on the brakes and pulling back, trying to go cross ice, intended for Ben Scooter, but that pass was broken up by 17 of Mount Lebanon, Matt Gates, the team's leading goal scorer, who was all over him like a cheap suit. This puck iced legally by Central Catholic as it was deflected in behind the goal line, officials say. 25 to go in the minor penalty to Zimic. Alger with a chance, floats it in on goal. That took a funny bounce there right in front of Austin Martin, the Mount Lebanon goaltender. Draw pass, snapshot, save made, rebound. It's bouncing around, and the Vikings were unable to tee it up there. Great opportunity for Griffin Lewis, the sophomore, as the penalty is about to expire. Little puck luck there for Lebo as Jeremy Church calls for a line change. And so we're back to 5-on-5 and it remains scoreless just about 4 minutes into the game. From his own boards, Caden Lane, the sophomore, gave it away, and it was sent immediately toward the general direction of Austin Martin by Josh Moline. Moline centering that top line for Bill Connolly's team. And he comes off for a partial change, as Mount Lebanon gets a clean face-off win in its own end. Blue Devils back to center. They get it as far as their own blue line before it's sent right back into the Mount Lebanon zone by the Vikings. Little tie up here at the center point as the teams play pitch and catch in front of the Mount Lebanon bench. It's backhanded in deep. And wide of the goal by Pivich. Vikings in digging for this one. To the near boards it comes. Nathan Cox pinching for Central Catholic. Mount Lebanon going to clean it up defensively, though. Here's Offerman off the glass. Not quite out, though. Now it will come back just inside neutral ice as Connolly wants to complete the line change. One of the Blue Devils, knocked down by one of the Vikings right at center as play continues. 5 minutes into a scoreless first period. Nathan Cox, the junior, defensively in his own corner, gives it away to the Blue Devils. Weatherington tried to get a shot on net. That wouldn't go through. Kept alive at the point by Tran and off the blocker of Jacob Dold as he is tested for the first time tonight. This puck sent the length, and it's icing against Central Catholic. Jacob Dold last year, 752 minutes, 46 seconds of action, 905 save percentage. Again, that was good for 7th in AAA. A 3.12 GAA, that was good for 10th among regulars. And an overall 7-8 record. And Dold can be a tough young man to beat once he gets into a rhythm. We've seen him play before. As this puck takes a funny bounce right off the glove of his counterpart, Austin Martin at the other end. But the Blue Devils are able to get it back to center. And a hit there in front of one of the officials applied by Mount Lebanon's 23, Jake Lehman, the junior. As the teams fight for this puck at neutral ice. Eventually it's gloved down defensively by Lebo. Stacioski, Chase Stacioski that is, ultimately sends it back into Central Catholic territory before the Vikings immediately ice it one more time with 6 minutes gone and a scoreless first. Both teams making wholesale changes before the face-off to the left of the senior, Jacob Dold. Sawyer Klasnick, the junior, on to take the face-off for Mount Lebanon, and he pushes it to the boards, or tries to anyway, as the Blue Devils operate behind the Central Catholic net. But a good bit of stick work there by Beckham Alger. We told you he's one of the best at his position. Doing the little things right there to clean up his own zone. From the half wall in Mount Lebanon territory, this puck is sent the length for icing. And so they'll face it off to the left of Austin Martin 102 minutes played for Martin on the young season. 2.5 goals against, 922 save percentage. Last year, Martin 4-7 as a backup to Tommy Schubert. 328 goals against, 880 save percentage, and over 528 minutes of action. From the half wall, it's centered, and a shot blocked by one of the Blue Devils. Getting in the way of that one was Nathan Tran, the freshman, and Tran gains the red line and dumps it into Viking territory, where it's settled down by PIHL, and a hard hit there. Well, we play on, as Dold had to drop to his knees to keep that one from going in. Brady Dunn, the senior, gathering it in defensively for Lebo. Blue Devils trying to change on the fly themselves here, as Alger comes in over the line and puts it right off the glove of Martin. This shot whistled wide from the right hash by Beckham Alger. Blue Devils fighting for it, and they win that puck battle back to center. As ducking around a check is Caden Lane. Central Catholic really trying to throw its weight around here in this first period, which remains scoreless. 4 of the first 5 shots on goal belong to the visiting Vikings. As Morgan dumps this puck in for Lebo. Off a glove illegally and back to center. Blue Devils retreating and send it back to neutral ice, where it's gathered in by Alger. Alger 1-on-2, creates some room for himself and tries to center it, but a good break up there by the Blue Devils. And a good break up once again by Zimic, the senior, as Alger has the red line and sends it deep. Line change for Central Catholic as we approach the midpoint of this scoreless first period. Outlet pass goes off the skate of its intended target, Liam Shin, the freshman. And the Vikings try to counterattack here, but they can't gather this puck in cleanly, and they are offside with 8:39 to play. Well, who is the top returning scorer anyway for Mount Lebanon, excuse me? It's Sawyer Klasnick, who had all of 3 points last season. That's just how much this Mount Lebanon roster has changed from a year ago. Vikings with a deep wrist shot. Blocker save made there, and I think that caught the shoulder of Austin Martin as well. Here's a slap shot that goes off Martin's stick and into the protective netting off to his right. Some good pressure in this first period on the forecheck by Pittsburgh Central Catholic. And off the face-off win, it is smacked at by Fabian. Joel Fabian, the senior, trying to center it, but to no avail. Lead pass intended for Chase Stacioski is broken up by the Vikings. On the back check, Tran retreating for Lebo. Up ahead, off the stick of the intended target. That was Lehman. And the Vikings come back to center. Wilcox on his backhand sails it into Viking territory. And one of the Vikings lost an edge there. That's a break for Mount Lebanon as the Blue Devils get this puck to the corner. Cleaned up immediately by Nathan Cox. And it squirts free to the junior defenseman of Central Catholic, who goes cross ice to Tyler Gaffney. Gaffney between the circles. Snapshot save made, and Martin will cover. Now a 7-1 shot advantage in the early goings for Central Catholic, but still no score. The senior, Austin Martin, holding his own between the pipes for Mount Lebanon as the Blue Devils try to find their legs here at home. From his own blue line, this is Ricky Castracani trying to get something going in Mount Lebanon ice. But the Vikings will have to get organized defensively as the puck is sent up ahead, and a possible 2-on-1 here for Central Catholic as this wrist shot is Denied by Martin. Rebound side of the net. And we get a whistle and a stoppage in play. And a hand pass is called against Pittsburgh Central Catholic. That's a break for Mount Lebanon. That transition game really took shape on that shift there for Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and the Vikings that close to cracking the scoreboard. Patrick Tetlow, the junior, plays it off the boards and up ahead to Tommy Allback, the sophomore. He's ridden hard into the boards in the near corner. Central Catholic trying to clean things up defensively here, and it will, but a turnover there to one of the Blue Devils. Look out, backhanded try, save made, Dold, rebound, nobody home. Central Catholic counterattacking again. Here's Ben Scooter. That shot blocked, and he rides one of the Blue Devils hard into the corner boards, and that's going to be a penalty on Evan Ben Scooter, and they don't get much more obvious than that. And Nathan Tran visibly upset as Ben Scooter will feel shame for 2 minutes and then get free. Mount Lebanon going on its first power play of the night. Boarding the indication, and it's going to be a 2 and 10. Evan Ben Scooter, the junior forward, gets a 2 and 10 for boarding. And again, that was, first of all, not pretty. Second of all, just too obvious not to call. And so Clayton Kepperling is going to come on, the senior winger, to serve that penalty, as Central Catholic gets a big face-off win to start their penalty kill here with 6 minutes left in a scoreless first period. Blue Devils patiently setting up their power play here for the first time tonight as Gates comes in over the line, but lost control of this puck. Good defensive work there by Pivich, the senior. As this is put, on the Central Catholic goal and easily covered by Jacob Dold. 1:31 to go in the minor penalty to Ben Scooter. And the Blue Devils get a face-off win but can't get a clean shot on net as the Vikings clear it back to center. More good work on the PK by Pivich. And Morgan now is tripped at the blue line. Nothing called, and Jeremy Church, I believe, has a legitimate beef there. Central Catholic very lucky not to be down by 2 men as they're halfway through this penalty kill with about 5 minutes to go in the first. Blue Devils surveying the play. And the Vikings standing their own ground, shutting things down right at their own blue line as Connolly encourages his penalty killers there. That was good work by Noah Ritz, the sophomore, and Alex Sarkis, the senior. 30 to go in the power play for Mount Lebanon. Stasiowski floats it wide to the right of Jacob Dold. To the point it comes. Slap shot. Save made. Rebound is put wide by Stasiowski. That was Brady Dunn cocking the rifle as this puck goes out of play. 15 to go in the 5-on-4. So the Blue Devils, first and foremost, need a face-off win here in the offensive zone to the right of Central Catholic senior Jacob Dold. And Shin will win this face-off to the half boards, but the Vikings immediately and alertly get the stick on it and clear. Nathan Cox sending it the length, and that'll do it for the Mount Lebanon power play. But here's a nifty little maneuver over the line by Allback. Allback trapped in the corner, puts it off the side of the net from a bad angle. Dold directed that aside. And up ahead of the play now is Dante Scalise. Scalise centers it off a Mount Lebanon glove, and to the boards it goes, where it's sent deep by Tyler Gaffney. From the side of the net, it's loose in front. And the rebound is denied. I think Martin might have made an unconscious save there, as we're back to 5-on-5. Vikings continue to pressure, and this backdoor play will misfire, and the follow-up attempt is whiffed on by Scalise. A feverish pace to this game, but that pace will be put on hold for a moment, as this is icing against Central. And a face-off won by the Vikings in their own end, sent around the boards and back towards center. Kept alive by the Blue Devils. A good shot from distance, and the rebound just eluded the tape of one of the Blue Devils there. That was number 36, Weatherington, who almost had himself an easy tap-in goal there right on Dold's doorstep. This shot, turnaround try, denied by Martin, and you can hear that one all the way up here. Left point, good keep there by the Vikings as Martin makes a stick save and makes another one from his knees. Final 3 minutes of a scoreless first period. This shot from distance is fired wide, and they score! Noah Ritz putting on the Ritz late in period one, and all that hard work finally pays off for the visiting Vikings, who lead 1-0. For Noah Ritz, the sophomore, it's his first goal of the varsity campaign, and the first team goal of the varsity campaign for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Happy anniversary, Bill. And Coach Connolly getting the start that he wanted for his team here on the road. And Central Catholic right back on the attack as Martin has to make a save on the shot from the right wing taken by Alex Sarkis. Stasiowski from his own corner playing this puck. And the Blue Devils bring it back to center and through center as Dold covers this puck from about 30 feet. And Evan Pivich, who took that penalty in stride earlier, did some great work on the penalty kill earlier for Pittsburgh Central Catholic, getting the primary helper on that goal off the backboards. Easy rebound at the side of the net for Noah Ritz, and the Vikings are looking for more. This shot from the right point is blocked by one of the Blue Devils, and a high stick is called. And it's a high-sticking penalty, not a high stick on the puck. And Griffin Lewis, the sophomore, is guilty. So for most of the rest of the period, the Blue Devils will be on the power play, barring a goal. Last year, Central Catholic on the penalty kill, 82.4%, which was actually pretty solid. Number 5 out of the 11 teams in Class AAA. Mount Lebanon on the power play last year was middle of the road, 15.8%, good for 6th in 21-22. Blue Devils already 0 for 1 tonight, as this shot passes fanned on at the left side of the net by Matt Gates, and that allows the Vikings to clear it. Here's a steal by Scalise. Scalise is checked partially into the boards. I think Gates might have gotten the worst of that one, actually. Gates, no matter, has it near corner, out in front, side of the net. It's bouncing around and sent to the right circle, where the Vikings get it back through center and change penalty killers with 1:20 to go in the period. 1:10 to go in the minor penalty to Griffin Lewis for high sticking. Outlet pass to Stasiowski. Chase Stasiowski is immediately ridden into the boards by Beckham Alger, and we get a whistle and a stoppage in play here. Interference is called, and I think this is going to go against Alger. I'm not sure about that one. I think Olger was just trying to play that puck. But that's a break for Mount Lebanon, and a big one as they get a full minute of 5-on-3 time to work with here with 1:08 to play in the first period. And it hasn't been an easy first period for the Blue Devils, but a lot can change in the final moments here as they're only down 1-0. A two-man advantage for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. And the Blue Devils win the faceoff. They get it to the point. Here's Dunn trying to center it. He can't. Vikings get in their penalty kill triangle here as this puck is swiped at and sent deep by Mount Lebanon on the two-man advantage. Final minute of first period play. It goes cross ice to Zimic, who puts a shot that deflects wide. Drop back to Zimic. Zimic cross ice for Dunn. Dunn top of the right circle on goal, just wide of the net. I'm not sure Dold knew where that puck was. Draw pass to Zimic. Zimic down low. Out in front, the backdoor play will not connect. And with this puck is Scalise, who clears it up and just barely out. A big play there by Scalise, as that should do it for the first penalty, just about. Blue Devils in over the line as this puck is put on goal from distance. Central Catholic just really doing a nice job insulating their goaltender, Jacob Dold, and they kill off the first penalty as the period will end with the Central Catholic Vikings leading the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils by a score of 1-0 on a goal by Noah Ritz at even strength. The Blue Devils will have 52 more seconds of power play time with which to work when we come back for the second period here on PIHL Hockey Night Live on 10-Band TV, presented by the Mount Washington Shop and Save. Well, there was lots of jumping around in the Mount Lebanon defensive zone in that first period as shots on goal favored Central Catholic by a 14-8 count. The only goal of that period scored at even strength by Noah Ritz, set up by Ethan Pivich at the 14:07 mark of the first. But the Blue Devils with a big opportunity to get right back in it early in the second period, as they will have 52 seconds of 5-on-4 power play time. Buckholtz with the period opening faceoff, and the Blue Devils win the opening faceoff of the second period as the teams have switched sides. In over the line is Stasiowski. Stasiowski with some room here behind the Central Catholic goal. Backdoor play intended for Lehman in front, but he was too well covered. Now some space for Nick Morgan. He'll send it near corner. Looking out in front for Stasiowski. Broken up nicely by Ritz, the aforementioned lone goal scorer, who clears it. 23 to go in the penalty. Vikings getting themselves in some big trouble penalty-wise, but hasn't come back to haunt them just yet. Dold gathers that puck in and just in the nick of time sends it to the boards with a couple of Blue Devils barreling down on him. And the Vikings are going to kill off the two-man advantage in its entirety. And what a huge shot in the arm for Bill Connolly's team. As we are back to 5-on-5 with the first minute of play gone by in this second period. Stasiowski retreating. And entering the Central Catholic zone, where he's met immediately by 3 dark jerseys, and the Vikings will not ice this puck. Referee Buckholz saying it was deflected on its way in behind the Lebo goal line. And a turnover there to the Vikings, who put it in behind the Mount Lebanon net. From the sideboards, it's PIHL trying to center it out in front, intended for Moline. And that pass broken up as well as Mount Lebanon comes back with an opportunity the other way. This lead pass intended for Allback, broken up on the back check by PIHL, who read it well. Counter-attacking for the Vikings is Griffin Lewis, fresh out of the box. And a hard collision there between Lewis and Brady Dunn in behind Austin Martin, the Mount Lebanon goaltender. Puck back to center, gathered in by Alger. Alger lost the handle, but he gets it back, and he'll allow his mates to play this one as the Vikings go D to D. Back to center it comes. A little too far for Moline, and this will be icing against Central Catholic. 50 years of Central Catholic hockey being celebrated by that program this season. And 1 Penguins Cup championship to speak of in 1998. The last Penguins Cup for the Blue Devils, 2006, as you can see, evidenced by the state championship banner hanging off to our right. Shot from distance by Zimic is gloved down neatly by Dold. 2.5 gone by in the second, 1-0 Central Catholic. And through a crowd, this one finds its way in on goal where Dold plays it in behind the goal line. Blue Devils still fighting for this puck though, as this 50-50 battle is going to be won by Central Catholic. The Vikings defending so well in this game thus far. Really a dog-like pack mentality in their own end here in the early goings. As they send this puck back through center. Going after it in deep in his own end is Brady Dunn, the senior. And that was misplayed and given away to the Vikings. They try to center it for Scalise. That was not to be. Penalty coming up here. And cross-checking is the indication against the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. Hendry making the call. And it is Brady Dunn, the defenseman, who's going to go off here with 13:43 to go to the ice cut. And so the Vikings will get their second power play chance here as this shot is put on goal from distance by Tyler Gaffney and covered in a mad scramble by Austin Martin. Wilcox to take the face-off to Martin's left. And the Mount Lebanon captain kicks it to the right point, but not all the way out. Gaffney surveying the play, goes to the half wall for PIHL. PIHL for Gaffney. Gaffney from the high slot area, goes left side, a one-timer save made, rebound, it's loose right in front. And finally, Martin is able to cover with 1.5 minutes to go and the minor penalty to Brady Dunn. Now, Church wants to change penalty killers here with another face-off coming up in Lebo territory. Sawyer Klasnick to take the draw against Dante Scalise, and Scalise won it. To the left point it comes. This pass for Scalise, and Scalise's shot is deflected out of play. $1:20 to go in the Central Catholic power play. Again, the second chance of the night on the man advantage for the Vikings, who lead 1-0. To the point for Gaffney. Gaffney, left side. For Alger. Alger between the circles for Scalise. Scalise couldn't find it, and that's going to allow the Blue Devils to clear it. Matt Gates getting it the length of the ice as we are halfway through the penalty. Lebo making a partial change behind the play as the Vikings bring this puck, over the Mount Lebanon blue line, but Mount Lebanon gets another clear. And I believe that was Gates again. Gates forces a turnover now as he's met and bodied up by Alger. He gets up, no worse for the wear. Taking more time off the penalty clock. A good penalty killing shift there by Gates. But here comes Pivich over the line, and to the goal, it's put wide by Scalise. And now, from behind the goal line, Scalise puts it into the pads of Austin Martin. Off the faceoff win. Save made right off the draw. And the rebound is covered. Griffin Lewis, the sophomore, looking for a quick one right there off the offensive zone draw. 13 to go in the Central Catholic power play. 12 to go till they cut the ice here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center. Very fast-paced game here for the nightcap of our Hockey Night live doubleheader on 10-band TV. Lebo kills it. Their penalty kill is 2 for 2 as this puck is trapped and played off the back of the Mount Lebanon net by the Blue Devils, but they're unable to clear their own zone. Now they will. Good dogged determination there by Lehman as he's got a man up ahead of the play. That's Chase Stasiowski. Stasiowski getting involved in a puck battle there near corner, but it is Central Catholic that will prevail. This puck sent back in by number 19, Klasnick of Mount Lebanon, as the Blue Devils tag up there. And they'll have to tag up one more time as they go D to D for Brian Offerman. Up ahead for Klasnick. Klasnick couldn't hook up with Gates as Gates is shoved from behind. Nothing called. Bodies colliding in front of the Mount Lebanon bench as the Blue Devils send the puck deep. Around the boards it comes, and all the way back through center. Skating backward to play it is Luke Eberhardt, the junior from Mount Lebanon defensively. Up for Gates. Gates to nobody in particular as Nathan Cox will gain the red line and send it deep into the corner. Blue Devils outlet it to center, and this lead pass intended for Speed Stasiowski, which may or may not be my new favorite PIHL name, but the Blue Devils are offside. The brothers Stasiowski, Chase and Speed, sophomore and senior respectively, combining for 5 points in the first 2 games of the season for Mount Lebanon. Blue Devils looking to improve to 2-0 on home ice on the young season, but they trail 1-0 with 10 minutes to go in the second period on a goal by Noah Ritz. And the Vikings almost had an opportunity in close range there, but Mount Lebanon getting back successfully on the back check. This puck played off the glove of Castracani as it comes back into Central territory. Castracani playing it up ahead off the stick of one of the Vikings. And that is Joel Fabian as this puck is put wide of the goal by Ben Scooter, who almost doubled the lead for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. A fortuitous bounce there for Mount Lebanon, as one of the Mount Lebanon defenders, Nathan Tran, the freshman, gives up life and limb to block that shot. This puck wrapped off the Central Catholic bench, and it will dribble all the way to the goal line, but not across the goal line, so it is not icing. But here come the Vikings just the same as this is deflected out of play. Coming up on the halfway point of this game. Again, it is a quick-moving game, and time always goes quickly when you're having fun, as we are here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Arena. And we want to remind you that you can watch this game live and on demand on the 10-Band TV website. If you have Roku or if you have an Amazon Fire Stick, you can watch it there as well. From the high slot area, here's a shot snapped by Kepperling that never got through. Wilcox plays this puck at center, up ahead for Chase Stasiowski. His shot blocked from the right circle. Stasiowski was trying to drop that puck back for a teammate, but there was none in the area. Wilcox goes in after this one, and he wins this puck battle offensively for Mount Lebanon. From a bad angle, he puts it off the side of the net, and Central Catholic will get it out of its own end. Back to the Lebo blue line. It's played by Dunn, and Wilcox lost an edge, and he's grabbing at his leg a bit there as this shot is denied from distance from Ben Scooter. And this puck is whistled wide as Pivich tried to get a bounce there. Another deflection goes wide of the Mount Lebanon net. A good cycle here by the Vikings in the second half of the second period. Turnaround try, it's loose, bottom of the circle, and cleared by Wilcox. And this will be icing. "22 saves for Austin Martin thus far. 23-9, I beg your pardon, the shots on goal in favor of Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and the Vikings lead 1-0 on a late first period goal by Noah Ritz with just under 3 minutes to play in that first period. Here comes Lebo back the other way. Snapshot from the left circle is smothered by Dold, or was it? Now he covers it. Speed Stasiowski looking for a rebound there, but there was none. Face-off won defensively by Central Catholic, but they turned the puck over, and it's centered wide of the stick of Matt Gates. And back to center it comes, and in hot pursuit is Dante Scalise. Scalise left circle. His snapshot is blocked and deflected wide. It looked like Klasnick got a piece of that one. Correction, that was Nick Morgan, the senior, as the 13 was partially obscured on the jersey. Matt Gates from between the circles putting that puck into the shoulder of Jacob Dold, who holds. It's 10 p.m. in Western Pennsylvania. We're not going to ask you if you know where your children are. We just hope you're watching us wherever they are, wherever you are. And special thanks to our sponsor for this doubleheader, the Mount Washington Shop and Save, as this puck is gloved down on the shot off a face-off by Luke Eberhardt. And if you're in the Mount Washington area, stop in a Shop and Save. Save some money on groceries, which who isn't trying to do that these days? And if you bump into Jimmy and Michelle Kazarowski, who run the outfit, make sure you say hi. Tell them Matt Popchock sent you. This shot over top the goal and off the glass by Griffin Lewis. And it's held at the Central Catholic blue line by an oncoming Beckham Alger. Alger on his backhand plays it in behind the Mount Lebanon net, excuse me. One of the Vikings over skating this puck, and that allows Allback to get it to center, gain the red line, and dump it on goal. And Dold has to make a save there from his knees with under 6 to go to the ice cut. from the corner boards. The Blue Devils in fighting for it. Snapshot, never made it through. That was swallowed by Griffin Lewis, who comes back 4 men strong with Central Catholic through center. Good poke check there by Nathan Tran. And here comes Mount Lebanon on the counterattack. It's Wilcox slapping it from the circle. That's denied by Dold. From the left point, through a crowd and wide. That's fired wide of net by Brian Offerman as a hard check takes place in the corner there. Wilcox no worse for the wear as he sends it behind the Central Catholic net. And one of the Blue Devils losing an edge there as the puck comes out in front and is cleared. And this will be an icing call against the Mount Lebanon the Central Catholic Vikings, excuse me, as the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils get a good forecheck going there. And they've slowly started to tilt the ice a little bit. Lebo still trailing here, 1-0. Jacob Dole doing his part to make Ritz's first period tally stand up. Off the faceoff, it's gloved by Dold. Oh, man, Stacey Oski almost cashed in there. Wilcox against Sarkis for the faceoff to the left of Jacob Dold. And Sarkis ties up his man, and that allows Central Catholic to get it back to center, where the Blue Devils send it in and tag up. Puck played off the boards. Chase Stacioski from his corner, from the near corner, I should say. Couldn't get that puck to his Mount Lebanon teammate, Sawyer Klasnick. And the Vikings will gain the red line and send it deep into the Mount Lebanon zone. Final 4.5 of second period play with the Vikings leading 1-0 and carrying this puck at center ice. Some space now for Gaffney. Gaffney to the goal, lost an edge and lost it on the backhand as well. A tough break there for the senior. Mount Lebanon with a possible 2-on-1. A man up ahead of the play is Brady Dunn. Dunn too well covered though. Mount Lebanon keeps it alive at the left point, and this one goes just under the glove of Jacob Dold. Around the boards it goes. Castracani. Excuse me, that's Matt Gates playing it, as I was glancing at the incorrect roster for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. Vikings from just inside their own blue line play it back to center red. Mount Lebanon trying to complete a line change here as they gather it in defensively. And this puck is led up ahead for speed Stacioski, and his distance shot is denied by Dole. The rebound, bounding around in front, and Gates was wide open with an exposed net, but he couldn't find the puck. And here's a chance possibly the other way for Anthony Durazio, the junior, if he can hurry, but he's not going to get there in time. Paul Zimick cleaning up that little mess and erroneously puts it into the Central Catholic bench. So we'll get a face-off to the left of Austin Martin with just over 3 minutes to play in the second period. Mount Lebanon growing more and more into this game, but hasn't been able to get a bounce just yet. And as a gentle reminder, it was the Blue Devils who were leading 1-0 at the ice cut of their last game. And then the wheels kind of came off the wagon as North Allegheny rallied as we get another icing call here for that 4-1 victory. And before that game, a special retirement ceremony was held for retired North Allegheny head coach Mike Bagnotto, who retired after 38 years of coaching in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Hockey League. And during our coverage of the Peters Township Pine Richland game last week, we were lucky enough to catch up with Coach Bagnotto during the ice cut. Of course, Mike coached the Pine Richland Rams also once upon a time. And you can watch that interview and watch the whole game actually on demand right now on 10 Band TV's PIHL channel. So make sure you check that out. Offside are the Blue Devils. And Bill Connolly wants a fresh line to take the face-off. It's just outside the Vikings blue line, and it's won by Mount Lebanon. And coming the other way, Beckham Alger. Alger wraps it off the glass, and it goes in behind the Mount Lebanon net, where it's played up to the right point, but not quite out. Alger with a good bit of hustle there and a good job to keep it alive and onside. Off that tie-up, it's put out in front and wide of the goal by Ben Scooter. Behind the net, the Vikings operate, and a bouncing puck there took a funny carom. And actually, the net became dislodged as Austin Martin was trying to slide over to his right to cover the net and accidentally knocked the net off its moorings. Moline to take this draw offensively for Central Catholic. Klasnick tries to tie up his stick, and he wins that faceoff for Mount Lebanon, which goes in after this puck, which is going to go the length for icing. Gates, good hustle, but the alternate captain just not able to catch up to it. Off the face-off, it's Ben Scooter, and a penalty coming up here. Holding is the indication, and it's going to go against the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, I think. No, it's going to go against Pittsburgh Central Catholic. That's an offensive zone face-off, and Connolly can't be too happy about that as Ben Scooter is sent off with just under 2 minutes to play in the period. So basically, Lebo gets to spend the whole rest of the second period on a power play, unless they score, obviously. Another late period power play opportunity for the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils. They're 0 for 3 thus far, including a two-man advantage that carried over from the first into the second. Beckham Alger shorthanded. Alger in the corner, 1-on-3, is just going to send it back to center and kill some time off the penalty clock. Martin settles it down behind his own net, and Nathan Tran will outlet it to Morgan for Gates. Gates drifting to his left, couldn't dangle around Alger, and Alger tries to outmaneuver Tran there as this puck is in neutral ice. Speed Stacioski with it. Stacioski brings it over the blue line. Offside. Gates was just a smidge too far ahead of the play. 1:11 to go in the minor penalty and 1:09 to go in the period. Still a 1-0 game. Doesn't feel like a 1-0 game, but it is. Very exciting flow to this game between two of last year's Penguins Cup playoff qualifiers. These teams very similar in style, figuratively and literally, right down to the detail of their uniforms. They wear the same colors and have inverse helmet logos, basically, as this puck is cleared by the Vikings. Lebo brings it in over the line, but it's given away there to Sarkis, who clears the zone. Central Catholic just completely standing up Mount Lebanon in its own blue line and not letting them establish any kind of presence in the zone, in their zone, I should say, on the power play here, with the last 20 seconds of the period ticking down. From the point, it's put on Dold, and he has to squeeze that one for a face-off. Nick Morgan, the shooter. And Morgan's going to stay on and man the point here, I think, for Jeremy Church. No, well, he's going to come off, actually. I stand corrected. Lebo looking for some late fireworks on the man advantage. Wilcox against Ritz, the lone goal getter in this game. Central wins the faceoff, and they Murphy dump it almost the length of the ice as it's whacked at by Brady Dunn. Ritz in after it's shorthanded. 4 seconds left. Blue Devils need to hurry as this centering pass is broken up by Griffin Lewis. The buzzer sounds and it's time to cut the ice at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center, where the host Blue Devils of Mount Lebanon trail the visiting Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings by a score of 1-0. And you are watching it all on PIHL Hockey Night Live on 10 Band TV, presented by the Mount Washington Shop and Save. Shots on goal in the second period, 9 apiece. Shots for the game, 23-17 in favor of Central Catholic, which leads the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center by a score of 1-0. Blue Devils 2 seconds away from going to 0 for 4 on the power play, as they had one at the very end of that second period, but still not able to solve this Central Catholic team defense, or Jacob Dold for that matter, who combined for 52 saves in the regular season series between these teams last year. Austin Martin playing a very strong game of his own thus far, making 22 saves on 23 shots, so I guess we shouldn't be surprised that this has become a goalie duel. And the only goal thus far came with 2:53 to play in the first period. A puck put off the boards behind the Mount Lebanon net came right out to Noah Ritz on the near side of the cage, and he smashed it in, as assisted by Ethan Pivich for the only goal of the game thus far. Ritz's first goal and the first Central Catholic goal of the season. The Blue Devils 17 minutes away from what would be a huge opening night victory here on the road against one of the teams that conventional wisdom says is going to be challenging them again for playoff positioning in Class AAA this season. It's the same 11 teams in AAA this year as it was last year. Nobody's moved up or down. It is the only PIHL classification that remains unchanged from last year. 8 of the 11 make the playoffs. That hasn't changed either. And on the freshly cut ice, the Vikings, back to equal strength, will attack from left to right here. From his own boards, it's flipped back to center by Nathan Schran, but taken away and sent the other direction for a moment by Moline of Central Catholic before it comes back into Viking territory, and a tripping call is coming up. And this tripping call is going to go against the Central Catholic Vikings, who, such a strange aspect of this game, the Vikings just can't seem to get out of their own way penalty-wise, but they haven't paid for it yet. Of course, you don't want to keep playing with fire if you're Bill Connolly, lest your team get burned. But this Central Catholic Vikings team just playing so well together as a unit in front of Jacob Dold, who's already, as we know, a very capable netminder. And so the high danger scoring chances for Mount Lebanon, which now has its 5th power play chance of the night, have been few and far between. And there goes the power play as Chase Stasiowski flips the puck against the boards in frustration. Elbowing is going to be the call, and it's going to go against the senior defenseman, Brady Dunn. Oh, now it's Jeremy Church's turn to be a little miffed. Not what you want your team to do with a chance to get right back in this game at the beginning of the third period. And so we'll play 4-on-4 for 1:33 before the Vikings get a truncated power play. Mount Lebanon now 0 for 5 on the man advantage, as the Blue Devils control this puck through center. Morgan with good speed to the near corner as he is escorted off the puck carefully by Scalise. It's loose in front. They whack at it. It's covered by Dold, and finally they say he throws it long enough for a face-off. Now that whistle seemed to take forever. If you're Jacob Dold, it did anyway. Mount Lebanon getting some fresh bodies out here as we continue 4-on-4 for another 1:12. Now they say roughing the official call as the Vikings come back the other way, and this poke check by Nick Morgan denies that scoring opportunity. Hard hit by Gates. Knocks the stick loose from Billy George, the sophomore of the Vikings. And Central has to retreat to play this puck in its own end, behind its own goal. Beckham Alger bringing it out and backward slowly. Alger surveying the play, gets it back to center where it's turned over to the Blue Devils and played on the bounce by Sawyer Klasnick as it comes free to Zimic. Zimic over the line, 1-on-3. He snaps it into the glove of Jacob Dold. Well, our cameraman, Michael Lyman, said elbowing, so I'm going to say elbowing. I'm going to say that was an elbow.
It looked like an elbow. It was real high.
It did look like an elbow, didn't it, Mike? Might not go in the books, but calling it an elbow. In any event, it's a penalty to the Blue Devils, who are 7 seconds away from being shorthanded. Comes to the left point for Ritz, who has the only goal of the game with 14:15 to go in regulation. Brief power play for Central Catholic, which is 0 for 2 thus far. And it doesn't look like the Vikings are going to get much of a chance here unless they really, really hurry. And a good poke check there by Chase Stasiowski as Ben Scooter is ridden into the boards, and we're back to equal strength. Lehman up ahead for one of the Blue Devils. That's Chase Stasiowski. Long lead pass intended for Moline this time is broken up by Mount Lebanon. And that'll be Tommy Albach gaining the red line and sending it in as Mount Lebanon changes behind the play. Morgan from the red line off the glass, and this puck takes a weird bounce all the way back into the near corner of Mount Lebanon territory. Morgan wrestling with one of the Vikings for possession. Central Catholic has it. From the bottom of the left circle, it's put off a stick and well wide of the net. Bodies colliding near corner. Blue Devils come out with it defensively. Here's Tetlow. Tetlow over the blue line. Tetlow, snapshot, glove save made by Dold, and Tetlow overskates the rebound to the far corner. DeRazio gathers it in for Central Catholic, and this is going to be icing against the Vikings with 12:43 to go in the third. "11 of the last 14 shots on goal in this game belong to the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils, but they continue to be stymied by Jacob Dold and the Central Catholic Vikings, who lead 1-0. Tran to the top of the circle. Now it's centered for Klasnick, who couldn't handle it. Vikings come to center. Lead pass now for Sarkis. Sarkis is dispossessed by Speed Stasiowski. Bouncing puck off Martin, gathered in by one of the Vikings and put off the stomach of the Mount Lebanon senior, Austin Martin. This centering pass broken up by Lebo. They get it to their own bench, and they get it back to center as one of the Vikings lost an edge at the Mount Lebanon blue line. Dunn circling back in his own end. Couldn't outlet it to Speed Stasiowski, and this should be icing. No, they're going to say it was played just shy of the goal line. Alger with some fancy maneuvering there brings it up through center. Beckham Alger over the blue line, centers it. And this shot by Ritz deflected wide. Blue Devils with a possible 3-on-2, but they can't handle the bouncing puck at center ice. And that puck will be played defensively by Scalise behind his own net. Off the boards and under the stick of Wilcox. No icing. Near corner, Mount Lebanon has it. Up to Wilcox. 3-on-2 for the Blue Devils. Stasiowski, right side. Shot blocked. Side of the net, it's loose. Oh, what a save by Dold on Wilcox. Wilcox had the right idea, but just couldn't pull the trigger quickly enough. And Bill Connolly thought about making a last-minute change here before the face-off, but it looks like Scalise is going to stay on here. They drop it to the right of Jacob Dold. Ritz ties up his man, and the puck goes to the boards where it's controlled by Central Catholic. Defensive zone face-off win by the Vikings there, and every one of those seems just so important with the game still in the balance. Centering pass broken up neatly there by Zimic. Vikings still have it, though, in deep. Good poke check there by Lehman to get it to the boards and out. And a chance the other way for Chase Stacioski. Stacioski to the goal. Glove save! Jacob Dold! Arguably Mount Lebanon's best chance of the night. Now Gates gathers it in at center and puts it into the Central Catholic bench. Bill Connolly surveying the proceedings. 20 total years involved with this program. Again, Central Catholic celebrating its golden anniversary, its 50th season in 22-23. And Bill Connolly's been around in some way, shape, or form for 20 of those seasons. That's 40% of the program's timeline. Hard to believe. Two-on-two battle rages on in Mount Lebanon territory, won by the Blue Devils. Speed Stacioski over the line, snaps it off the body of Dold. The rebound goes in behind the net where it's played by Central Catholic, and they have a 2-on-1. Ben Scooter centers it. Shot put wide. Ben Scooter overskated the rebound, and so did one of his teammates. Oh, a huge break there for the Blue Devils, who have to get back on side. Speed Stacioski, I think for a brief moment there, thought he might have had a 1-on-none or a 2-on-none, but then he remembered he was offside. Great chances at both ends, with still 9:36 to go in this third period, and it remains a 1-0 game in favor of the Vikings. Face-off in Mount Lebanon territory is controlled by the Blue Devils. And it's outletted to Shin. Shin, the freshman, up ahead, a little too far for Albach, who is not in sync with the rest of his line mates, and Mount Lebanon has to tag up. And that'll allow Central Catholic to counterattack, but they will do so offside. Clayton Kepperling, the senior, just a stride too fast. And there you get a closer look at Beckham Alger, number 8 of Central Catholic. And we also, as Jersey Geeks, get a closer look at that Central Catholic uniform. I admire that parochial crest, that school crest on the shoulder. A little jersey detail I didn't note before. Central Catholic, a very crisp, sharp look. Their road uniforms this season, as this puck is denied by Austin Martin. Shot from distance, and there's a puck snatched out of the air by the Mount Lebanon senior. Oh, you wanted a goalie dough on a Monday night, you got one. Shots now 27-23 in favor of Central Catholic in a 1-0 game as we approach the midpoint of period 3. Gaffney playing this puck backward, giving away to one of the Blue Devils, who's hit hard into the glass. Now that was Lehman getting the worst of that one for Mount Lebanon, as Gaffney plays it defensively, and that puck fanned on the clearing attempt by one of the Vikings, but no harm done. Long lead pass. Ritz has it. He shoots. Save made. Rebound. Cleared up, but not out. And now it will go out of play as Chase Stacioski heard the footsteps of Dante Scalise. And this shot off the faceoff taken by Fabian is put wide. And the follow-up goes off the protective netting, so they'll face it off again in Mount Lebanon territory, I believe. Yes, to the right, I should say, of Austin Martin. Clean face-off win for Mount Lebanon defensively. Dunn tries to skate it out himself. He can't. Had his pocket picked by Scalise. And this puck played between the circles by Speed Stacioski, kept alive by the Vikings at the right point. To the corner it comes. Stacioski, he turns it over again, but Mount Lebanon recovers thanks to Zimic. And it's up ahead now for Gates. Gates 1-on-2, couldn't do anything with it. Played on the backhand to the far corner. Gates still has this puck for Mount Lebanon. Gates now finally is knocked off the disc by Noah Ritz. Up ahead it comes now for Fabian. Fabian off the blocker hand of Austin Martin. Outlet pass there intended for Gates, a little too heavy. Vikings gain the red line as the Blue Devils are changing, and they dump it into Mount Lebanon territory deep. Chase Stacioski from neutral ice into the Central Catholic zone. Vikings gather it in behind their own goal, and Alger will lead it up ahead to Lewis. Lewis rifles it into the stomach of Austin Martin. And you're watching PIHL Hockey Night Live, the nightcap of our Indigenous Peoples Day doubleheader on 10-Band TV. Brought to you by the Mount Washington Shop and Save. This approaching Thursday night, our year-long coverage of Peters Township hockey, which can also be seen on Peters Hockey TV, will return as the Indians visit the Seneca Valley Raiders in a rematch of last year's AAA Penguins Cup Championship game. That's coming up at 9:10 this approaching Thursday night from the Barrel Ice Complex in Warrendale, Pennsylvania. And I'll have the call of that one as well. So we hope you'll saddle up and come along for the ride. This puck shot from distance by Alger, but goes well wide of the net. Alger doing it all himself now from center point into the stomach of Martin, who hangs on. Ben Scooter was looking for a rebound, but there wasn't any. Wholesale changes for both sides now with 6 minutes to play in the third period. Central Catholic on the road leading Mount Lebanon here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Center 1-0. Off the faceoff. It's work free by the Vikings, and right back into the logo on that Mount Lebanon home uniform where Austin Martin will force a face-off. Sarkis to take the draw offensively against Sawyer Klasnick, and this time Klasnick wins it for Mount Lebanon back to center. And the Vikings are offside. Now, next up for the Vikings, they'll be back home in Harmerville at the Alpha Complex for a 9 o'clock face-off. This approaching Thursday night against North Allegheny. And what a fascinating contest that should be, as bodies collide along the near boards in Mount Lebanon territory. And for the Blue Devils, looking ahead, they will wrap up their regular season series in Erie against Cathedral Prep next Tuesday night at the Erie Bank Sports Park. That's going to be a 7:20 puck drop. Up at the top of 79 North. Vikings defensively from their own corner, back to center. And it goes by referee Hendry, who will blow the whistle for icing. Just shy of 5 miles left here in the third. Mount Lebanon still looking for a goal. Central Catholic still trying to make the only one they have stand up. And off the face-off, it comes to center for Fabian. Blue Devils recover at the red line and send it deep. Central Catholic behind its own net as Scalise had his stick tied up. Chase Stacioski trying to make something happen late for Mount Lebanon. Vikings defensively turn it over. Look out, a chance in front possibly, but a good poke check there from his stomach by Ethan Pivich. Blue Devils retreat and play this puck from the near boards. Stacioski up ahead, and this pass a little too strong for Sawyer Klasnick. Comes back to center, Mount Lebanon tags up, and they've got a chance here to the goal. And a great poke check there at the last moment. Matt Gates was disarmed by Pivich. Huge defensive play there to keep it a 1-0 game. From the half wall, Mount Lebanon trying to get it out of their own end. They can't. Collision there at the Blue Devils' blue line. Sends speed Stacioski the other way, and on his backhand, he sends it in behind the Central Catholic net. Vikings gathered in front of their own bench, and it's sent off the skate of Josh Moline, and in behind the Blue Devil net it goes. Nathan Cox from center into Mount Lebanon territory with 3 minutes to go, and we'll keep an eye down on the goal, down to our right for obvious reasons, as Jake Dold covers at the other end for a face-off. And off the face-off, here come the Vikings, but they can't bring it out of their own end. Good play there by Wilcox to get the puck deep. Hard hit along the far boards. Knocks the puck loose, and it comes free now to Ben Scooter, right wing side. Ben Scooter is poke checked at the top of the circle. Good maneuver there by Brady Dunn. Up ahead it comes now to Lehman. Lehman looking for a man up ahead, and it's shot just over the net. Backdoor play rather, is put just wide by Callan Wilcox. Two great chances there for the Blue Devils in rapid succession, but they still can't hit the target. Just over 2 minutes to go, and the Vikings come over the line, but offside. Oh, Mount Lebanon that close to finding a tying goal late, but when you're as dialed in as Jacob Dold has been in this game, you seem to get those kind of breaks. And he got a couple as the one-timer was deflected over the net and the follow-up chance was put wide. Speed Stacioski back to center with under 2 to go now. Morgan behind his goaltender, watching over things, deciding which way to go. He'll dance to his left. Now he'll dance to his right. Jeremy Church, the head coach of Mount Lebanon, barking out instructions as this puck is outletted to Gates. A little too heavily, though, and Mount Lebanon does earn an offensive zone faceoff, so they've got that going for them, which is nice. And there goes Austin Martin. And is Church going to use his timeout here? Let's see. He will indeed. So it would appear, at least preliminarily, that Jeremy Church wants to play the rest of regulation 6-on-5. Once again, Central Catholic swept the season series between these teams last season. Playing this game without their top returning scorer, Sam Gaffney, who is not in the lineup tonight. He had a goal and an assist almost a year ago to the day, as I said earlier, in a victory in this building. October 11th, 2021, 4-1 the final score. And in the rematch, it was Joel Fabian scoring twice in a 4-2 victory for Central Catholic in Harmarville. Vikings looking to make a big statement with what would be an impressive road win here to begin their 50th anniversary season if they can make this score hold up. And they'll be able to take aim at an empty net with 1:38 to play. But first, they got to win a faceoff, and they got to win a pretty important faceoff too. To the left of Jacob Dold. To the point it comes for Tran. Tran, left corner, out in front, it's loose, worked out, and the Blue Devils unable to find it with Dold down and out. Tran unable to keep it with his glove. Blue Devils have to gather it in defensively now, and carefully so, in front of the vacant net. Extra attacker on for Mount Lebanon, which trails 1-0. Cleared by the Vikings. Noah Ritz, who has the only goal of the game thus far, doing the important work there for Central Catholic. Beckham Alger defensively off the boards, up and not quite out. Morgan kept it alive. Alger settles it down though, wraps it around the boards, still not quite out. Centered for Stacioski, bouncing puck off a couple of sticks, and it dies at the boards, and now it's sent the length and just wide of the net. It will be icing with 40 ticks to talk. Now the Vikings have to sweat out another faceoff in their own zone here. Will Bill Connolly use his timeout? Personally, I think it's a valid question. Guess not. Central Catholic's just going to try and tough it out here. And it's sent to the boards. Blue Devils fighting for it. Morgan keeps it alive down low. Klasnick couldn't locate it. It's sent the length, but again, it will go for icing. No, it will not. They say no icing. And Church can't believe it. 18 seconds left. Now the Blue Devils really have to hurry, and one of their players loses an edge. And that's going to allow Central Catholic to steal this puck. They're unable to shoot it at the empty net, though. 10 seconds left. Mount Lebanon needs a shot on goal right now. Stacioski over the line. The Blue Devils have to get onside. They're not going to have enough time. And this goalie duel belongs to the Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings and Jacob Dold. But wait just a moment. All kinds of confusion at the end of this game. Officials trying to gather up and determine if there is more time left on the clock, or should be more time left on the clock, pardon me. Even if there is, it's not going to be a lot of time for Mount Lebanon to operate. So let's see what they do here. Offside was the call that they were trying to make, I believe, against Mount Lebanon. And indeed, the faceoff will come outside Central Catholic territory with 1 second to go. Take two. Now the Vikings can celebrate a big road win and an impressive performance by both goaltenders tonight. Austin Martin finishing with 26 saves in a losing effort. In a winning effort, picking up a road shutout with 33 saves. Central Catholic senior Jacob Dold as the handshake line forms at center ice. The Vikings ringing in their 50th anniversary season with a big victory over a playoff challenger in Mount Lebanon on the road here at the Mount Lebanon Ice Arena. Special thanks, Todd Kazarowski, Michael Amon, and special thanks to you for watching, wherever you did it, however you did it. Once again, we'll be back Thursday night with more coverage of Peters Township hockey on 10-Band TV and Peters Hockey TV as the Indians of Class AAA, the reigning Pennsylvania Cup champions, play visitor in the home of the Seneca Valley Raiders. Once again, I am Matt Popchock, and thanks for watching tonight's doubleheader. The final score again, the Pittsburgh Central Catholic Vikings 1, the Mount Lebanon Blue Devils 0, and you saw it on PIHL Hockey Night Live on 10-Band TV, sponsored by the Mount Washington Shop and Save.